Welcome to today's webinar, everyone. Viewers, wherever you are connecting, I welcome you to the 7th of the series of webinars that Women Focus Canada has been conducting. And if you'd like to know briefly about Women Focus Canada is playing a vital role in addressing, and is very focused on addressing few areas of lives, which is centered around gender-based violence, promotion of physical, mental, psychological wellness, gender-neutral rights and equality, and capacity building through information sharing and various sessions like this. I'd like to welcome all of you and know that Women Focus Canada, in partnership with Red Cross Canada, Red Cross has brought this to you. So Canadian Red Cross is in good support or great supporter of this cause from Women Focus Canada. So this seminar will help you to understand what are the risks, what are the challenges, and how to cope with this period of COVID-19. So I will also like you to know that this is information that will enable you to develop a kind of the required or the resilience that you need for during COVID and even beyond COVID. So the first speaker will be giving us or delivering to us around how to work remotely as alternative income source during COVID-19. At this time, as we used to say, there are gigs, but the gigs is taking a different form during this remote working and the COVID season. So I like us to also pay attention to this. And like I said previously, this is being recorded. You'll be able to view it after this webinar on various social channels. And without much ado, I would like to turn over to the first speaker, who is Dr. Olubanji Adeola. Please, like all of us, to welcome Dr. Adeola. Please, Dr. Adeola, you are welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so actually myself and Brenda will be handling this together. So today we'll bring to you the topic that the webinar that we titled Freelancing, an Alternative Career Pathway. So my name is Dr. Adeola Olubamiji. I hold a PhD in biomedical engineering, and I'm a technical advisor at Cummins Incorporated. And what I work on is 3D printing. So I'm a subject matter expert in 3D printing. I'm also the chief consultant at DTechcentrics, an education consulting company and an engineering consulting company. I'm the founder of STEM Up Foundation, an organization that is located in Toronto, providing free hands-on education outreach program to youths and young adults. So I also added my email address if anyone is interested in contacting me to talk more about your career or the future of work. Brenda?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this brave learning space. My name is Brenda Okoroba, and I'm a program design and evaluation consultant. I'm also into grants writing. I do experiential and developmental learning, and I am the founder of Moments with Brain, an organization that democratizes access to quality education, business and career development, as well as democratizing philanthropy. So I'm really excited to be doing this webinar today with Dr. Adeola. Welcome.
Thank you. Before we go and talk about freelancing, we want to take you on a journey back to 1784. We want to talk about how we got to the point where we are today. Around 1784, we started with creation of steam engines, mechanization, and water power, which powered our engines in those times. So my great-grandfather and your grandfather, who were farmers and who were transporting items from one location to the other, utilized mechanization. From that point until 1870, that was their means of making their life work. From 1870 up to 1965, we had what we call Industry 2.0. What accompanying Industry 2.0 includes mass production of items. So we no longer have to produce item one by one. We could mass produce item. We needed assembly line to be able to mass produce items, so they made assembly line. We also, at that point, were able to proceed in our technological advancement, and we made electricity as people. From that point until 1969, electricity was used to power a whole lot of things that water and mechanization was powering in the 1700s. And around 1960s, we had our first computer. We had an advancement made from us just using electricity to just kind of enjoy, to really utilizing this to better our life, our work, and our people. Computers were made, small robots were made, some automation happened to our processes. From 1969 to around 2010, we enjoyed having large computers. We enjoyed having telephones that are not small, but they're still kind of small, right? We had mobile phones, which replaced our landline. But from 2010, we had a shift in technology. There was what we call the cyber-physical system, where you can say, Alexa, turn on the TV, right? Before then, we didn't have such a thing. Technology is gradually taking over a whole lot of things, as we can see. These are exciting times for us, especially the younger folks. We have had technology being able to do a whole lot of things that in 1784 was not possible. This has caused a lot of difference in our ways of life, in the way we interact, in the way our community also see us, in what we call community. We now have what we call a global village. I want to also take us back on a journey of how telecommunication has improved over time. When I was young, in the 80s or early 90s, I remember having my first Yahoo email. I remember going to cyber cafe where I would go check my email. I had a pen pal who was living in the US would write to me, and I would wait maybe for another week before my pen pal writes again. From that point, we have evolved as people, from just waiting for emails for 2-3 weeks to a point where we all have Google, to a point where we've moved from Google to actually using apps on our phone to other products, apps on our phone to connect with people who are in Africa and other places. If you close your eyes and imagine, 5 years from now, where do you think we're going? Improved technology, improved connectivity, transparency, agile. All of those words are going to be our reality. It's going to only be better. What am I trying to tell you? Technology is here to stay. It's now a part of our lives and we can't hide from it anymore. It's not only a part of our life, it's a part of our health system. We've seen a whole lot of changes in how healthcare is being administered to people. People are looking for personalized healthcare. Before now, you go to the hospital, you do your whole body exam, they just tell you it's done, go home. These days, millennials are asking questions. What do you mean it's done? What's my blood pressure? What's my height? What's going on? They want to know a little more. Because of COVID-19, we also know that it is now possible to use e-health and telemedicine to interact with your doctor without you going in there. We have e-prescription where you don't have to go to the hospital to get the prescription anymore. They send a reminder to your phone and the medication is waiting for you at the pharmacy. We are democratizing healthcare gradually, which means data can be generated on your phone that are related to your health. You can take your blood pressure from home. Your health provider still gets it. What am I trying to picture here? I'm trying to show you how we are moving forward because of technology. How on our phone, we can now talk, we can now interact with people like we physically are in Africa or in other parts of the world. How we can now take our blood pressure from home without having to go to the hospital anymore. And the doctors still can get the result. So also in manufacturing. Manufacturing has completely been taken over by this Industry 4.0 technologies, from blockchain to artificial intelligence, to robotics, to virtual reality and augmented reality. All of this technology are affecting how we manufacture, how we supply things, how we distribute goods. Today, digital marketing is the last one I want to talk about before we move on into remote work. The way we sell and buy is gradually changing. Everything is moving online, especially with COVID-19, where you can't go to the stores anymore. You have to order things online, you order food online, cooked food and cooked food. You just have to know where exactly to go. What attracts you to those places that you go? Is it the beautiful website? Is it that they have a good CTA? Is it that the thank you note that you get after you order product? Is it the sale that they have on those pages? Digital marketing has transformed the way we sell, the way we buy. Now, let's talk about freelancing and how that is connected. So before we go into freelancing, I've just talked to you about how technology is affecting our lives. This has opened doors for us to be able to work remotely because a whole lot of the work related to the things I have explained can be done remotely. With technology, opportunities for remote work has opened up, which means opportunity for freelancing as a career. So you can work remotely on different projects in different parts of the world without being present, and you can still make huge impact to what they do, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in marketing, whether it's in anything, manufacturing, name it. This is our time. If you're young, you're in this call today, you need to know that a new hub has been opened because of technology. And with freelancing, we can take full advantage of that. Brenda?
Yes. So before I go into talking about freelancing, there's a pre-poll for all participants here today. Sonia, do you mind putting up the pre-poll? So everyone, if you look at the screen right now, there's a pre-poll question for you. You just have to, go through the questions and then you can share your comments in the chat box. Thank you.
Okay, so people have entered their polls. I'm going to end polling and I will share the results. So it looks like a lot of people are very much considering starting a side business, especially during these times. And everyone has really thought about having information on alternative income sources would be very helpful. So I'm glad that we were able to bring this today.
Okay, thank you, Sonia. So what is freelancing? Freelancing is working as a self-employed person or professional for multiple employers without any formal agreement or contract for a long period of time. And let me just point out that there's a difference between remote work and freelancing, because with remote work, you're actually tied to an employer that's paying you a salary or a wage, or you're receiving annual income, but you just have the flexibility and the ability to work from home. But unlike freelancing, you're not tied to a specific employer. You're working for different employers, you're offering different skill sets, different talent, and then you're charging your own fee as well for that service you're providing. And as a freelancer, you can work part-time, you can work full-time, you can work contract as an independent contractor, you can work as a consultant, you can do side gigs, you can do whatever you want to do as a freelancer. Next slide, Adiola. So right now we are in the midst of a global pandemic, COVID-19. And just so you know that COVID-19 has actually affected the way people go to work, the way people do work, and what people also define as work. So we are going to be discussing the different types of freelancing based on what is happening because of COVID-19. The first one, the people that I call always freelancers. So these people have already accepted their career pathway as freelancers. These are individuals who have engaged in supplemental, temporary, project, or even contract-based work. And they've been doing it for the past 12 months, past 1 year, past 3 years, past 5 years. And they are still doing freelancing because that's what they've fully embraced as a career pathway. And then we have those who we call post-freelancers. So these are individuals who have engaged in supplemental, temporary, side gig, project or contract-based work within the past 12 months, but have not done freelance work since the onset or the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic, because a lot of people are still thinking, how can they sustainably generate income or revenue for themselves so that they can pay their bills? And then the third one is those that I classify as new freelancers. So some of you who joined this webinar today, some of you have never, ever, been a freelancer before. So individuals who are just engaging in supplemental work, side gigs, or they're just considering the fact that freelancing might be a pathway for them to generate income, you are the ones that I consider new freelancers. Okay, so those are the three types of freelancing based on COVID-19 global pandemic. Now we have what we call classification of freelancers. So this is where I really like talking about, because as a freelancer myself, having a paid job and then also working as a freelancer, I like to call myself an independent contractor. So independent contractors are the traditional freelancers. These are people who do not have an employer, and instead they do freelancing, they do temporary work, they do side gigs, they do contract jobs, they do supplemental work, and then they work on project to project basis. And then the second classification are those we call the moonlighters professional. So just like the traditional job that I mentioned, the moonlighter professionals are those who do so many types of freelance work. For example, a corporate employed web developer who does projects for non-profits in the evening. So there are some of you who are currently working, you are working the traditional job, but at the same time you have a side job, or sometimes you people call it a side hustle. You classify yourself as a moonlighter professional. And then we have those we call diversified workers. So these are people who work with multiple sources of income, from a mix of traditional employers, freelance work. Sometimes you hear people say, oh, they have 3 jobs, they have 4 jobs, or sometimes they're like, oh, I'm doing one-page job, I run my own business, I have, a profile on Fiverr, Upwork. These are people we classify as diversified workers. So someone might be working part-time at a startup. At the same time, the person is managing their own Airbnb business, or even a personal business where they are a makeup artist, the photographer, and then at the same time, they're offering services on an online marketplace. And then the third group is those that I classify as freelance business owner. So freelancers with 1 or more employees. So when I say business owners, this means that you own a business. As a freelancer, you have people that you've employed to work for you. And then you're running your day-to-day business, you're making money, you're generating revenue, you're generating income. Those are the people we call freelance business owners. And I think a lot of young people, and even, different ages, different categories of people are actually freelance business owners. And then finally, we have the last group, which is temporary workers. These are individuals who work with a single employer. They have single client, a single job, contract project, side gigs, and their employment status is really temporary. So they're not really deep into freelancing as a career pathway. They just do it on a temporary basis. It could be for 1 week, it could be for 2 weeks, it could be for 3 months. So those are the 5 classifications of freelancers. And now, what are the pros of freelancing? Why should you consider freelancing as a pathway to earn an income, to even build your skills, build your clientele, build your online portfolio profile? So you get to work when you want to. You get to work from home or wherever you want. Be your own boss. You can choose to do any project you're interested in. You can choose to work with clients you want to work with without anyone telling you what to do or putting pressure on you to stick to a particular client. You learn as you go. So everybody likes learning, I guess. Freelancing is something that gives you the opportunity to update your skill set, to gain more knowledge about the work that you're doing. And then you also learn when you want. You also get to work on a variety of projects, not just one project, except you decide to stick to just one client. With freelancing, you get to cut your expenses. So you're not driving to work. You don't have to spend a lot of money except buying your equipment or whatever gadgets you need from the onset when you start freelancing. You also have your personal life, right? You're not putting on, your tie, your suit, you're not dressing professional, like too professional when you're doing your freelance work. You're free to be free in your home while you're doing your freelancing. And now we'll talk about the cons of freelancing. Well, as you all know, for everything, there are advantages and disadvantages, right? So some of the cons of freelancing is that you have to constantly be looking for clients. So if you don't put yourself out there or you're not getting referrals, then there's no client, no job, no gig, no money, no income. You have to be good at more than just one skill. So it is very important that if you want to consider freelancing as a means of generating income or as a career pathway, you have to have multiple skill sets. So work on your soft skills and work on your technical skills. There's no insurance, there's no job guarantee, there's no retirement plan when you're a freelancer, except you decide to run your own personal business. Sometimes you might have creativity burnout because it's a major problem. You have to be very careful when you're doing freelancing because sometimes, yes, you're working from home and then you find out that you're even spending 12, 14 hours because you want to meet deadline, you want to get back to your client. You have to be very self-disciplined, self-motivated. So a lot of people, just because you're working from home as a freelancer, it's not an opportunity for you, or it's not a room for you to just have what I call a nonchalant attitude. One of the cons of freelancing is that your home is your office. So if your home is very noisy, you will have problem trying to concentrate. You have multiple tasks to do at home. So sometimes you get really, really distracted. So this is where self-discipline comes in. And for sure, your friends might feel like calling you, chatting with you, telling you, oh, it's time to go for a party. It's time to go and, get food. It's time to do this, do that. So you get really distracted if you don't manage your time, if you don't manage yourself when you are working as a freelancer, or even when you're doing remote work from home. Okay, Adira.
Sorry, I'm trying to make sure that I'm broadcasting this to social media as well. So the question is freelancing for you? You've heard about the cons and the pros. Why should you consider this? 57 million Americans freelanced in the year 2019. Freelancing income in America was nearly $1 trillion. Younger generations like myself and you, especially Gen Z, 53% of them said they will consider freelancing. Freelancing opens multiple opportunities in terms of the freedom. It's freelancing, right? You can travel, you can go and be working from somewhere in Asia. We've seen people travel to Bali while they're still freelancing and learning about the world. That flexibility is what you get. There are so many tech-enabled freelancing opportunities that you can do from your computer, which makes it good. With freelancing, you need soft skills and you have an ability to build your soft skills because this is what really make your customer trust you. They feel like they can always come back to you. With freelancing, education needs to adapt. You may have a particular strict kind of education. You may need a bit other skills to add to it to be able to run the business fully. You can't just be a tech person You need to be able to be an accountant sometime. You need to be able to be your own PR sometime. It gives you an opportunity to build a diverse portfolio for yourself. Now, the next thing we want to discuss is, what is your winning idea? Sometimes when people think about the things that they can freelance on, there could be multiple things. You know, if you write it down, you will be surprised how much capability you have. Your winning idea may not be that thing that you're very passionate about. It may not be that thing that you have all the skills and talent for. You have to think holistically before you determine and say, this is what I want to freelance about. You have to think about the market demand. Look at COVID-19 and the different opportunities it's brought to us. A whole lot of time when people are thinking about COVID-19 today, one of the things that have been a burden for parents is, how do we homeschool children? How do we keep them focused? How do we educate people? If you're an educator, COVID-19 has opened up a pool of work for you in terms of content writing, in terms of creating curriculum, in terms of, doing a whole lot in terms of course creation, helping to make sure that the kids are grounded. What is your winning idea? Do not just consider your passion, consider the market. Before you narrow down that market research on that winning idea, I want you to do a market research. Do a market research of the different ideas you have. Look at what is the likelihood that somebody is going to need this service. Look at how much am I going to get paid if I offer this service. Look at the time it takes to build at least one service and be successful. Does it take a lot of time? Take a stock of your experience. Take a stock of the education you have to know, what is that thing that I have? And then decide what your winning idea is. Your winning idea must be something you're passionate about, that you have enough skill set and talent to run, that the market needs today. We need to find that sweet spot by writing down this idea, doing those market research, considering the pool of skills that you have, and thinking about what you love doing and finding what will work. Now, moving forward, is freelancing gig a business? The answer is yes. I'm going to go a little bit Canadian and American on us for a second here. What I have seen with a lot of young people is, we think we're not old enough to have a business. We think because we have a full-time job, you shouldn't register this as a business. You are doing yourself a disservice if your freelancing is not registered as a service. It is a service because you get paid for it. So it is better to create a business. I will suggest, if anyone is listening to me, you live in the US or Canada, it is very critical that you file your taxes. You cannot file your taxes on it if it's not a business. So the first thing that you need to think about once you identify your idea, create a business plan. Create a business plan to understand what is the business that I'm into, and put together a business structure and register that as a business. Why should you register? You hold the government a tax when you get paid on a product or any service that you sell. Number two is, you also need to understand that if the government is giving any funding to entrepreneurs, to this and that. Recently, the government gave some loan that a part of it is forgivable, both in the US and Canada, to small business owners. If your business is not registered, then you do not have this benefit on your side because you don't have a registered track. If they're given grants to small business owner, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not registered. Now, running a business that has a structure requires that you not only file taxes, you have to do finance and accounting. You need to understand identifying the right stakeholders. Yes, it's a freelance gig, but you need to do a little bit of bookkeeping. So it's very critical that you put together a good plan, identify what is my overhead cost, what is my service cost, what is my overhead cost, do I need do I need to buy a software that I will use for my service? Put all of those into perspective when you're trying to put together a business. What I have seen with a lot of young people is, we don't have any structure for our businesses. As such, we don't file taxes on those businesses. Or when it's time for benefits, they don't give it to us because we never registered the business. It doesn't have a bank account. I want to admonish you, if you're listening to me, that what you're working on, no matter how small it is, if you're getting paid for it, it deserves to be registered. One area that I want to mention briefly here is, it is a business, so you need a structure for pricing. a lot of time, people are freelancing without even knowing how much should you charge for your service. When you do your market research, you need to think about what you bring to the table. What are the comparative prices for what you bring to the table? Make sure that there is a price structure for your product. Without a price structure, people will underpay you, they will underprice you, and you'll be frustrated. Now, we divided this into a couple of buckets. I'm going to put this down for it to be easy for people to see. We divided the type of freelancing opportunities that could be there into, there are more buckets, but we just kind of want to put this out there for you to think about. So a lot of time, Africans, for example, we're very skill driven. We have degrees. So I have a degree in education. Oh, I am just a programmer. What do I know? I'm a creative. With the skill set you got from university, the skill set you got from that work experience is enough for you to be able to fit into some of these areas. If you're thinking that you don't know what idea can come out of what you have, I want you to think about all of the different things we have here. If you're in education, you can be a career coach, a mentor, you can help people with proofreading, copywriting, ghostwriting of books. If you have learned programming, maybe by teaching yourself or going to school to study computer science, you can be a web designer. You can be an SEO specialist, server administrator. These are some freelancing gig that you can do that can make you at least be $25 per hour, way more up to $200 per hour in some cases. Creatives are very, very commonly needed, especially now because of COVID-19. People are doing a whole lot of their business online. They need people to create animation. They need people to create video for jingles. They need graphics designers. They need people to do mock-up for their businesses. This is a great time to use your creativity to earn money. If you're an healthcare professional, you need extra, I feel like extra healthcare professional, they're already stressed so thin right now. But in the future, if you're looking for opportunities for freelancing, I have a couple of suggestions for you. This is not everything. There are so many of them, but we just kind of wanted to list some. Communication. I've had people who studied mass communication, political science, thinking, what am I supposed to do? I don't know. Here are some examples of what you can do: voiceover artists, virtual assistant, brand communicators, PR specialists, and so on. Well, here are some things for you. You can take a snapshot of it if you need it. You can think through, what degree do you have? What experience do you have? What bucket do you fall? We would like you to think through it and come up with your ideas, do market research for those ideas, and hopefully you'll be able to narrow it down to something. There are 7 things we want you to think about when you want to really start a business when you have, for freelancing. You need to take stock of your skills, your interest, and your knowledge. You need to take stock completely from your work experience to skills that you learned from working from home and all of those. We need you to take stock of it. Now you need to think about the fact that the world is going tech. Are there some tech skills in your portfolio that are hot today, that are relevant? Social capital, I'm going to talk about that a bit later. What is your vision for this business that you're trying to grow? What resources do you need, and what resources are you putting into the business? Because if you don't put resources into it, it's not going to also take off. What experience do you put to the table? What opportunities are available out there? Is the time calling for this, such as the time we are right now because of COVID? Is the time calling for it? What visibility do you have? Now on skills, we need to really take stock of your entire portfolio to think about, what competitive advantage do you have? What skill do you bring to the table that is not common today? Myself, I'm a 3D printing specialist, and the type of skill that I have, they're very technical, but it gives me competitive advantage. What is your competitive advantage, if I may ask? If you do not think you have that competitive advantage, can you grow that competitive advantage by adding more skills to your portfolio, by learning a new skills? There are so many different places to do that. We hope you explore Udemy, Coursera, and different places to learn new skills if you really do need it. You need to create your portfolio. Without this portfolio, there are no testimonials that you can do what you say you can do. after identifying your skill set, you need a portfolio showing a couple of things. You need testimonials from people you have worked with in the past. You need to source that from them. You need to create a good portfolio if you're creative to show that here are some graphics design that I've done in the past for so brand. So people can have testimonials, they can see what you have done in terms of work. You need to narrow down your services because you can't be a jack of all trade. Narrow down the services to know what exactly you want to be offering to people. Who are you? People need to be able to put a face to you. What skills do you bring to the table? Where did you go to school? Have you won some awards? Have you given some presentation? The About Me section must be popping. You know what I mean? Popping with a very good headshot, describing yourself. In this place, we need you to toot your horn. If it is true that you know what you're doing, let people be able to see that you're the kind of person that they want to work with. Showcase your work. Divide your work, your services into a point where people can really see it. You know, let it look good. It's not an exaggeration. It's just to make it look good. Brenda, you're up next.
Dr. Adiola has mentioned a lot of things, and to go into freelancing, you have to start with doing a skills inventory. Take a stock of all your skills, your previous work experience, even volunteer experience, passion projects you must have done. So when you're studying as a freelancer, the first thing you want to think of is, why am I going into freelancing? Why am I considering freelancing? How can I build my brand? And building your brand, so there, like I said, there are two ways you can start as a freelancer. It's either you go on online marketplaces, create a profile, place bids on projects, or you can run a personal business as an independent contractor or freelancer. So you want to start with a mission statement. And mission statement is tied to your personal brand. So when we talk about personal branding, we are saying, what is that thing that makes you unique? What is your unique selling point, USP, as we always say? What is that thing you're bringing to the table? Those skill sets, those experiences, the talent and everything, what are you bringing to the table? So with your mission statement, the first thing is, what is my brand? What do I represent? What type of message do I want to convey to my clients? What type of skills and services am I, offering to my clients? So ask yourself, where am I right now? So where are you right now? What is the destination you're trying to get to? Why do I want to be a freelancer? What can I offer my clients? That's all that Dr. Adiola just explained right now. What is it you're bringing to the table? What is your X factor? What is that thing that makes you unique? What is that thing that distinguishes you from every other person? Even if you're working with, 1,000 people, 3 million people are competing for the same bid you're trying to get, the same gig, the same bid, the same project, the same contract. What is it that will make that client say, you know what, I want to work with Brenda? What is your X factor? What is your unique selling points? What is your value proposition you're bringing to the table? Who are your target clients? So I don't want to go too deep, but there's something we call empathy map in business, where entrepreneurs, business owners have to come together, they have to sit and then start thinking, who are their ideal clients? Who are the ideal customers they want to work with, or they want to provide services for, or they are designing products for? Same thing applies to freelancing. You have to do that empathy map, create a customer persona, and ask yourself, what is the demographic, the psychographic, the needs, the pains, the gains of people that I want to, use my talent, use my skills to provide services to them? Not just individuals, businesses, brands, non-profit organization. When you start asking yourself all of these honest questions, that's when you begin to think about the things that you can offer, the things that you can bring to the table. And with your mission statement, it helps you define how you can approach potential work, potential clients, and even how you can excel and succeed as a freelancer. So the thing with writing your mission statement, like Adiola mentioned, it's like your about us or about page on your LinkedIn profile or even your resume summary. You know, the way you write your resume summary, that's the same thing with the mission statement as a freelancer. Keep it very short, very concise, straight to the point. One thing when you're creating your mission statement, start with a good question. Don't say, oh, a lot of people are doing this and I'm not good at this. No, ask yourself, what am I really good at doing and what can I offer? So ask yourself good questions. And when you ask yourself good questions, you come up with good answers and good statements. The next slide is a sample. So like this person started with, quantifying the number of experience. So a lot of you, I'm sure a lot of you are professionals or you have jobs, you've been employed before, and before you got a job, you had to submit a resume. So the same thing applies to freelancing. When you're building your mission statement, you need to use the numbers game rule, quantify your mission statement. And by quantifying, I mean use numbers, use percentages, use duration, use decimals, use whatever you want to use to make sure that you're conveying how you got results. This person said, I have an experience of over 6 years in brand development. So now as a client, I will know that this person I'm going to be working with has 6 years experience. And then after quantifying your number of experience, the next thing you want to do while you're writing your mission statement is to list your core skills, your core competencies. You don't have to bring all like the 15 or 20 skills you have. No, pick your top 4, pick your top 5. If you see this example here, this person said brand development, advertising, and also in the fintech industry. So you want to be very specific. That's how the numbers game rule works. You have to be specific when you're listing your core competencies, the industry you've worked in. If you've worked in fintech, education, manufacturing, health, mention it. And then the person also mentioned that they've worked with advertising agency, they have corporate experience, they have experience working for multinational brands, companies, national level brands. They've handled a lot of campaigns. So when you're carving your mission statement, you, like I said, be very specific. You don't have to be meandering when you're writing your personal, just go straight to the point. I have this number of work experience. These are my core skills. These are the industries, or these are the clients, or these are the brands that I've worked with, and then tell them what you did. It's kind of how you do the interview technique that we call SOAR, S-O-A-R, where S stands for specific situation, O stands for opportunity, and then you have action, you have result. So it's the same thing. What is the situation? What was it that I did? How did I achieve that result? Show it on your brand statement or your mission statement as a freelancer. That is one of the things that will draw clients to you. Over to you.
Thank you, Brenda, for the information. Before we move forward to Dr. Adiola, I just want to make sure everyone knows to type in their questions into the Q&A tab found at the bottom of your screen. You can type your questions in as you're listening to our wonderful speakers today, and we'll take your questions towards the end of the presentation. Thank you, and over to you, Dr. Adiola.
We'll try to move up as fast as we can. I feel like our time is fast spent. I want to talk a bit about social capital and branding. One thing that I find a whole lot of professionals not understanding is you are a brand. When you're freelancing, you are the brand that somebody wants to invest in. You are the brand that somebody trusts enough to give this contract to. What is your brand like? What is your social capital like? What social capital have you built? As an African, a whole lot of time, we don't toot our own horn. As an African, I feel like a whole lot of us are on LinkedIn, just liking posts, commenting. We don't share content. If you don't share content, what will people see on your page that draws them to you that you can do the job? Your 10 years of experience on your page is not enough. People need to see what you have to say. There are so many people with experience who can't really deliver. How do you prove to your audience that you can deliver if there are nothing that they can really see? Some people don't even have any online footprint. They don't post anything on their social media, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or anything. to build, you need the social capital. Social capital includes those people in your network, the professional in your network who can recommend you for these different gigs. They're the ones in your network who will like your post, and other people on their network will see your post. Now they're helping you with advertising. The question is, how many people do you have on your LinkedIn? And not just people, how many people in the fields that you're trying to freelance in do you have on your LinkedIn? If you have less than 500 people that focus on the brand that you're trying to advertise, you haven't started building your social capital. You haven't started maximizing social media, especially LinkedIn, for this strategy. You need to understand that social media gives you an opportunity to participate. People gravitate towards people who are participants. People gravitate towards people who are open. Have been able to build a whole lot of social capital because people know that I'm open with what is happening. I say to you the things that I have gone through, my personal experience. Empathy mapping is very critical when you're trying to build social capital. People want somebody they can relate to, somebody that their situation is similar to, who has gone through what they want to go through. That's the kind of mentor they want. How open are you? Conversation. Are you having conversation with people? Are you commenting on their post? Are you letting them know I hear you? Are you engaging them in conversations that makes them feel like that you are in this together, or you are in this same field, or you are very knowledgeable about this? When you send people friend requests on LinkedIn, are you just sending them requests without writing a note to let them know what is the connection? Make sure to build your personal brand on this social network in a way where some people they'll see 3D printing stuff, they just send it to me. They say, oh, doctor, I see this 3D printing, because I have had them on lockdown that I'm a 3D printing subject matter expert. That's the brand that I've been promoting. What are you promoting? What is your brand identity? What is your brand association? Who are you following on LinkedIn? Are you following companies or brands that has to do with what you're trying to sell? You have to think about this. Did you start a blog or podcast about this particular topic that you're trying to build a brand around? Let's think through how we're really approaching social capital, because this is very, very critical. Brenda.
Well, Dr. Diola said a lot of things, and when you're starting out as a freelancer, one of the biggest things you need to consider is your digital footprint. And to build your digital footprint is create content, learn how to create content, no matter what you've done as a professional, whatever job you've done in the past, you have knowledge, you've acquired knowledge, you've gathered skills, you've gathered experience. Now it's time for you to start creating content. Write things about what you know. You can use LinkedIn Publisher that allows you to do write a long article. You can use medium.com. There's a platform called Substack. You can even use your social media on your Instagram, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Twitter. Start creating content, tag people, use the appropriate hashtags, engage people online. So how do you even find people at a point of purchase, like we call it? So what this means is that you go on social media, for example, LinkedIn, or even online marketplaces like Fiverr, Upwork, and freelancer.com. And then you type certain keywords. The same way you're looking for a job and you go on Google, your search engine, type in a keyword. For example, you can use, no designer. When you type no designer, you click on people, you click on location. If you're going to be using LinkedIn, if you're going to be using a platform like Twitter, all you have to do is use the power of hashtag. Try to see what people are posting out there. People are looking for clients, people are looking for freelancers, people are looking for contractors, people are looking for consultants. You will always, always find a gig.
All right, marketing strategy. What is your marketing strategy? How are you hoping, now you are building a brand, or now you have built a portfolio, you've built a brand, how do you want to market yourself appropriately? You can decide to build a very interactive website where there are cues there for people where your website help you turn the visit to the website to sale. You can have different things on your website that help people to gravitate towards utilizing you as the person that will help them with their freelancing work. You can also think about having a marketing plan with what is the call to action, what is the plan to engage the audience? How do you optimize your SEO? What idea do you have that is different from others? Do you post some research? Do you post some blog posts that are very exciting? You can decide to use a website as your marketing tool when you're thinking about your strategy. You can also do it differently, or you can have a website and do way more. You can create case studies and do write a blog post about those case studies. Do put up an Instagram ad or an Instagram post about a case study that somebody can say, I actually would love to do that. And now they want to use your service. Ask people, past clients you have worked for, ask them for testimonial, post them on social media, post them on your website. When people see that you do quality work, they could patronize you because of that. Teach a free workshop about something that you're trying to freelance about. Yes, you may think, that means I'm giving up a lot of things for free. What I found out as a freelancer myself is when I have those Instagram live teaching different topics, what usually happens is people come and buy my mentorship program. People come back and say, doctor, I want to register. When you teach people for free, it usually ends up into getting sales for you. Think about having free consultation, 30 minutes free consultation for people. From that 30 minutes free consultation, if you give them half of what they need the rest, so they'll pay for it. If you're having a program, run a 30-day trial for free. Let people use your product, trust it enough to be able to say, I want to continue, so I want to purchase the plan. You need a marketing strategy. It's not enough to say, I'm a freelancer without really knowing how do you market yourself, how do you stand out so that you have more people buying your product. Brenda, you're next.
Okay, so we've been talking about freelancing, and like I mentioned, there are two major ways you can actually start freelancing. Either you start your own business as an independent contractor or freelance business owner, or you can go on online marketplaces, place bids on projects after creating your profile, having your mission statement. So there are so many platforms, so many websites where you can find freelancing opportunities. Now, there's so many of them, and one of the most popular one is Fiverr, and then we have Upwork, we have TopTal, we have Simply Hired, we have even LinkedIn, Indeed.com. There's so many of them. This particular slides that has the list of websites where you can find freelancing, I and Dr. Adiola will just be sharing that on social media so everybody can have access to it, just the slides. So there are so many of them, so many of them. The thing is, before you go on these platforms to start placing bids on projects, gigs, and work and contracts, one thing you need to understand is that for every job, for every opportunity, for every contract, for every project on these platforms, you have an anatomy of a job profile. And this consists of three things. The first one is what I call skills. Like we've mentioned, you need to do a skills inventory, take a stock of your tech skills or your hard skills and also your soft skills. You need to know what are the must-have skills and need to have skills that will help me deliver to those clients that I want to work with. The second anatomy of a job profile when it comes to freelancing is to understand the knowledge required to execute that job. So have industry knowledge of that specific project or projects that you're going to be working on. And then the third anatomy of a job profile is responsibility. Like I mentioned, there are pros and cons of freelancing, and one of them has to do with your mindset and your attitude. So just because you're working from home doesn't mean that you shouldn't be self-motivated, you shouldn't be self-disciplined. So when it comes to the anatomy of a job, you have responsibilities. So keep this in mind. The three major elements of a job profile as a freelancer is your skills, the knowledge required to execute the project or the job for the client, and also your responsibilities. So that's it.
All right. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So you have to understand that working from home, freelancing pretty much means you're going to work remotely. There are a couple of things you have to be aware of. Brenda already stressed some of them. Is management is very key when you're working from home. You need to realize that you need clear expectation. Sometimes people give you a job, and if expectations are not determined, they come back with more things and add it on top of what you have agreed to. Before you agree to do a work for someone, sign a contract. Have the whole thing mapped out in a way where they don't pay you $3,000 and they expect you to deliver $20,000 project. Clear expectations has to be defined. Boundaries. You need to set boundaries in your contract so that people, the person who gave you the contract knows when should they expect the first draft? When should they expect the half of the work done? Because if this is not done, they may think you know what you're doing, and then you present to them after you've spent months building it, and it doesn't fit what they're looking for. Have those boundaries created where people can check your work. Also, boundaries means that they understand that you work maybe from 9 to 5. So they don't wake up in the middle of the night and think they have an idea they want to run by you, and then they pick up the phone and call you. Define the boundaries. When your business doesn't have a phase, when your business doesn't have regularities and is not organized, people oftentimes will want to overuse you and they will not respect your boundaries. Now you need a leadership skill. People need to see you as somebody who is capable to do the work. They need to see you as a leader who can lead the project successfully. Feedback is very critical. Ask for feedback every step of the way, from the person you're delivering the products to or the services to, so you know how they're feeling. The different tools that can help you manage effectively the project, manage your schedule together include Monday, ClickUp is not here, Trello, Asana. You need all those different tools to be able to manage your time, manage project timelines, manage deliverables, manage stakeholders that are supposed to be on your team, who does what and when. Communication is very key. We all have an accent, including the white people, but be able to communicate expectation, frequency of communication. Let them know what part of the project you are working on. That visibility to project oftentimes build confidence and help them trust you a whole lot more. Team bonding is not that they give you the project, you disappear. Keep them updated. Ask them a few questions that are personal sometimes. When you're meeting your client, please use video. Do not call your client, or they want to talk about project and then you show up to the meeting and you said, oh, because you're working from home, you didn't remember to shower. So now you don't want video. When you use video, it helps them trust you a lot more because they can see a face that is behind their project. Make sure that sometimes a little bit of informality could help. Use tools such as Slack, Zoom, Hangouts to communicate when they're very necessary, or call them up if they're old-fashioned. Productivity, determination, very, very critical. I'm going to move on to I don't want to just waste too much time. Training. Sometimes the skills you have, maybe 70% of what you need to deliver a project. Go and learn those skills, those extra skills that makes your presentation a lot better, that make your work a lot presentable. Learn them if there are only a few things needed to be able to have a complete package. Work environment, very critical. If you need a particular software to do the job properly, make sure to have this as part of your overhead cost. Have a very good place in your house where you deliver your projects. Don't just expect to move from kitchen to living room and everything. All the documents will get lost somehow. Have a dedicated work area where you can go to with your computer, with everything, and work whenever that is needed. We're almost at the end. Sorry, Brenda. Brenda, are you there?
So there are some things that you need to keep in mind when you finally venture into freelancing. And it has to do with your mindset. So a lot of you have heard, scarcity mindset, abundance mindset, fixed mindset versus growth mindset. Your mindset is key. So make sure that you're operating from an abundance mindset. You're not thinking less of yourself. Even if you don't have a skill set required for that chosen job or that chosen industry or profession that you want to, build your career in as a freelancer. Like Adiola mentioned, you can always go on MOOCs or online learning platform, Coursera, EDX, FutureLearn. There's so many of them out there, and then take online courses. Be very intentional when you're doing that. Push yourself forward. Even if you fail, make sure you fail forward. Be likable, be excited, be enthusiastic, see it as you're doing an actual job, because there's no difference between you working from home and doing an office job for clients. So you have to be excited, you have to be enthusiastic, you have to be determined and focused, because the thing with freelancing is you want to be able to increase your performance or improve your performance, your productivity, and also profitability. You don't want to work and not get paid. So keep those 3 P's in mind: performance, productivity, and profitability. You also want to be referable. So what we mean by this is that when you deliver good work, when you deliver a good job, your clients will refer you to other people. Your clients would tell people, oh, you know what, Brenda did this for me, and I think she's the best person you can work with on your project. Referrals, So how can you get referrals? By delivering good job. Keep in mind your deliverables, track your milestones, track all your projects you've completed, design your portfolio. Adiola mentioned this, you have to create an online portfolio. So there are different websites available. Just go online and check, free platforms where I can create an online portfolio. And one of them is google.site, very basic. We have Wix, there's so many of them. Even WordPress, you can create a very basic online profile. And another thing is focus on your clients. What are their needs? What are their expectations? Like I mentioned, there's something we call empathy map in business, human-centered design thinking. So with the empathy map, you want to sit yourself down and say, you know what, now I am the service provider. I am the freelancer, I'm the consultant, I'm the independent contractor, I'm the business owner. What are my clients, my target audience, my target customers? What do they feel? What do they see? What do they hear? How do they react? What are their needs? What are their pain points? What are those things they are struggling with that I can now use my skills or my knowledge to help them provide solutions? It could be a pain that they're trying to reduce or minimize, or it could be gain. They want to enjoy something. They want to enjoy the benefit of your services or your product. So always do an empathy map. This is something that I would refer everyone to go online, do a keyword search, empathy map, and then you see a lot of infographics, you see a lot of articles, read about it, then create a customer persona. And the last thing is collect full information about your clients. Like Dr. Adiola mentioned, try to have good communication with your clients. It could be maybe doing a video call via Zoom, talking to them on Telegram, WhatsApp, Skype, whatever means of communication two of you have agreed, or you've agreed with all your clients. Be flexible. Another thing is have a database. So as a freelancer, don't just say, oh, I'm freelancing, I'm doing remote work, I don't really care. You have to learn how to manage your time. Use your Excel spreadsheet or Google spreadsheet, create a database of all the clients you've worked, the brands you've worked with, or even if you're starting out for the first time, do what I call a target employer list. So if you have brands, specific brands or companies or organizations you want to work with, please get their names down. Take a list of all these companies, reach out to their employers, reach out to their employees, reach out to staff, reach out to people who work in that company on LinkedIn, on Twitter, and then see how you can build your clientele base with them. And then you start working, start creating projects, and start earning an income.
Well, this is all we've got for you. To recap on everything we've talked about, we started with helping you realize that our world is really changing and technology is taking over the way we live our lives, the way we do business, and the way we're going to continue to educate ourselves. We want you to think deeply about where you are in your career. whether you're at a point where you have enough skills that you think it's enough to spread your wings and fly beyond your 9-to-5 job. If you have lost a job, we believe that there are opportunities for you to actually have freelancing as a career if you position properly. Today, we've given you some nuggets about building your social capital, ensuring that you register that freelancing as a business, because there are opportunities that the US and Canada and other parts of the world have for you if you own a business. Freelancing is a business. Make sure to register it, file taxes for it, put together a business plan, have the right stakeholders working with you. We know things can get overwhelming. Sometimes you need to brainstorm with people. Don't do it all by yourself. Make sure to involve people, source out things such as bookkeeping, such as filing taxes, source it out, put it in your tax filing, you get some break for that. We hope that this helped you get going. Lastly, I want to take you back to this slide. For anyone still thinking, what skills do I have? What can I get working on? Take a picture of this if you're in education, or if you have some other skill sets in marketing, accounting, and tech that you may want to think about the following things. You may already have the skill sets or build it. Don't always forget what the market needs trumps what you think you are passionate about. So think about doing a market research to understand what is the market need today. And hopefully this has been able to help you think through your journey into freelancing. Myself and Brenda, you can find on social media, on Instagram, and I'm Dr. Olubamiji, and on everywhere on social media. Find Moments with Brand. Connect with her on Twitter. You may be listening today. Brenda is a very big resource when it comes to you looking for information. If you're looking for a mentor or a coach, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, or on LinkedIn, or email us. Email me at info@dtechcentrist.com. Email Brenda at info@momentswithbrand.com. We really do appreciate the opportunity to have this discussion with you. We hope that you utilize this. We want your tweets. Please tweet at us. Let's know that you were here. Let's know if you learned anything from this today. Let's hear your thought. Thank you, Focus Canada, for inviting us. We really did have a great time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Adiola and Brenda. Thank you for that very packed information. And I trust, even instead of saying it's overwhelming, I would say it is really interactive and enthusiastic to have these details, because in huge or hive of information like this, there's something we call map reducing. People have to do map reduction, because you spoke about various behavior to map in satisfying your kind of passing quality service to your customers. I think we cannot go over many things you've said, but I personally am so interested in something I got today. Looking at what you said, your core skill is, Dr. Adiola, specialty in metal and plastic additive manufacturing, but you just summarized it to say it is 3D. 3D sounds funny to me, but it's like I got more meaning from that area of specialization. And Brenda, your area of program designing and evaluation and even experiential learning, I see this learning, this what you've delivered today, as something that we can, with experimenting it, learn to evolve, because you've just bombarded us with a lot of things. I trust that people will go back to YouTube, Facebook, replay this over and over and break it down. And that's what I mean by map reduction. I think you've done so as awesome, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.